Hello, this is Keith Lane of the Durham County Budget Office, Senior Budget Analyst. And this session is to help you learn how to use the FMBB transaction, which is a transaction that allows you to create transfers, which is moving money from one line item, one commitment item to another, or doing a supplemental budget, which is where you would need a budget amendment where you maybe got new grant funds and you wanted to recognize that revenue and appropriate it and apply it towards the new expenditures. This transaction, again, is the FMBB transaction in SAP, will help you do both of those things. To find that transaction, you need to start at the SAP menu and go to Accounting, and then go to Public Sector Management, and then go to Budgeting, and in Budgeting go to Budget Control System. In Budget Control System, go to Entry Documents, and there you see the FMBB transaction called the Budgeting Workbench. Now the easy thing to do is to right-click that and add to favorites. And the moment you add it to favorites, it will come up here into the blue area and be right there, so you don't have to drill down through all these different folders to get to it. So once you select it, you can right-click on your mouse and click Add to Favorites, and it will show up here in the blue area and just be like this. It will be FMBB. If I do it, if I click Add to Favorites, it shows up right here and I don't have to drill down. Then I can click on it here, double click on it, and it will take me to that transaction. Or you can type in FMBB right here, FMBB, and it will do the same thing. And if I hit the enter key or the check button here, it will take me to that transaction. So there are three ways of getting there. You can drill down through the folders and get to the transaction here. You can save it as a favorite and use it here, or you can type in FMBB here and use it. We'll double click on the favorite. So first thing I need for you to do is to set up the layout of the screen to make sure we're all looking at the same thing, and you should only have to do this once. To do this, you need to go up to the top of the screen, and under the menus under Extra, go to Change Budgeting Workbench Layout. And we need to pick a layout variant, and to do that we click on these white boxes and we hit this little arrow that's down, and then we click the green checkbox, and it gives us a number of choices, and the choice we want is Conversion Layout. Double click on that and it shows up here. Click on it, make it the default layout, hit OK, the green check for OK, and you are good to go. And that should be the last time you have to do that, and that will make sure that your screen looks like my screen as I'm talking about this from now throughout the rest of the tutorial. Now that we're in the transaction, it's a fairly simple setup that's easy to understand once you understand what you're looking at. Let's assume we want to do a transfer. Well, to do a transfer, you need to select a transfer from the process area first. To select that, you hit this drop down button and choose. There are only two you're ever going to choose as a department. That's either transfer or supplement. A supplement is when you're adding money to the budget, and a transfer is when you're moving money between line items. Let's start with a transfer. So we click on the transfer, and it brings up several different fields that need to be filled out. Let's start with the budget category. It already says payment. That's all it ever needs to be, so you don't need to fill that. The version is always going to be 0, so select 0. The document type is always going to be norm. Select norm. And then you have a sender area, and those are the line items you're moving money out of, and you have receiver line items, or the line items you're moving money into. Commitment items are the same thing as line items. Always both of these should be budget type, should be norm. Grant type should be not relevant. Actually, we don't even need to use that. Just type it in. Not underscore relevant. The period is the month we're in. In this case, if I'm using today's date, which is the 20th of September, we start with July as the beginning of the fiscal year, so July would be 1, August would be 2, September would be 3, so we select 3, and the same thing for the receiver line items. We're in the fiscal year is 2013-14, so 14 is the end portion of that year, so it's correct. Again, the budget type is norm. And the grant is, we can just type it in, not underscore relevant. And the period is 3. If you were doing a transfer in October, this would be, you would select 4. If it was November, you would select 5, and so on. So let's assume we're in the budget office and we are going to do a transfer. We would select the fund. Most of the time, 99% of the time, most operating departments have their budgets, at least the budgets they work with most of the time, are in the general fund, which is 100, 101, 1, 2, 3, 4. If you have any question about that, you can always hit the drop down boxes. When you do that, it brings up a search function. If I don't put anything in here, it'll show me all funds, and there's 101, the general fund. Put it in, it's there. If you don't know your fund center number, same thing. You can click on the drop down box, it'll bring a search. In this case, if I were to type budget with a star, that allows it to search at the end, and I do that, it's going to find the budget and management for me. And there it is. And I can put that in. If that's not the right one, I can always reopen it, not put any names, and it will search all, and there they all are. And you can find all the different fund centers that you need, that you might choose from. Again, with the budget office, so we're 425, a lot of 424s. There we are, right there, budget and management. The commitment item, same thing. You always have the drop down box. You can search for many different. The problem is there are a tremendous number of line items, and there are more than 500, but this defaults to 500. If you see this little arrows clicked up, if I click on this and take the 500 out and hit enter, now it gives me 2,000 line items. Well, our line items start usually, if they're expenditure line items, they start with a 5. So let's do a 5 and a star under commitment item and do a search. Oh, and that gives us much fewer entries, and it's only 624 entries starting with the 5,100 line items. So let's say we're moving money from our telephone line item, which is 5,200, 110200. The functional area is the area that the fund center 425 1340 is in. That again is the budget and management department. The functional area we are in is 1 and 9 zeros. That's a big number, but basically we're in the 1000 function, which is general government. If you don't know that number that you're in, you can call your budget analyst and they will be happy to tell you. But I know what ours is. It's 1 and 9 zeros. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I think it should be 10 total numbers. So I go 1, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That's correct. Always have the drop down box. If you look at it, those are only choices you have. Funded program. In this case, where most of the time it's not going to be related to a grant. We don't budget at the grant level yet. So it's going to be not relevant. And the amount is just the amount you want to move. Now, I showed you it's a negative, so this means we're a sender line item. We're moving money out of this line item because it's a negative. And let's say we're going to move $500. And we'll say for unexpected printing costs. Might be our reason for moving the money. Now we're going to move those funds to the printing line item. We change it to a plus. That's where the money's going. Again, we're going to stay in Fund 100, 101. You can either copy this and paste it down or retype it. 100, 101, 1, 2, 3, 4. Fund center is the same. I hit Control C, which is copy. Control V, which is paste. The line item's going to be a little different. Let's find the. I know 5,200 line items are operating line items. Let's search under that and we'll find our printing line item. Well, let's go back up here and add printing. Print star. Let's see if that can search both of those. Oh, there it is. Printing supplies. 1104. Same functional area. Copy Control-C, Control-V on my keyboard. Not relevant. Correct. And it's 500. And Control-C, Control-V. So I am moving $500 from my telephone line item to 1104, which is the printing line item. I'm moving money to there. You can have multiple negatives, which are, you can move money from multiple commitment items to one plus line item, which is to the receiver line item, or you can have multiple sender line items, which are negatives, and multiple plus or receiver lines, meaning that you can move money from 5 different commitment items to 5 other commitment items, or you can move money from 5 commitment items and move it all into one commitment item. That should be easy to figure out. If you have any questions, you can call your budget analyst. So you fill out this simple transfer request. There's just a little bit more information you need to add under the tab that says additional data. Please type in the name responsible. That would be your name. I've already done this before, so my name pops up once I type in a K. I can hit the down arrow, hit the tab key, and it selects it, and then I have to write a reason for why this particular transfer is being done, and we can say for unexpected printing costs. Go back. Now you've got it. You want to double check. I got a total sender. These two should always be in balance. Total sender is $500. Total receiver line item grouping is $500. It's got today's date as the document date. If I want to check and make sure that this will go through, I can click check document. There are no errors detected. Document has been checked successfully. Alright, you're at the very end of the process now. The last thing you need to do is hit the pre-post button. I'm not going to hit it because I don't actually need to do this transfer, but if you hit the pre-post button, this will put this transfer request in workflow, and it will go to the budget analyst that is working with your department, and they will see it in their SAP email. They will review the transfer, and they will either approve or not approve it. If they approve it, it will automatically go through, and the funds will have been transferred, and you can use the YDev report, which will be in another little video here, to see that movement of money. And that's all there is to a transfer. I hope this has helped you. Thanks.